With this presentation, we are moving on to the last subunit of Module 2, the Unit 2, uh, which actually included ecosystem, the definition, the different types of ecosystems, the energy flow and nutrient cycling in the ecosystems. And then we also saw what all are the components of an ecosystem. With this, we will be seeing how the matter, energy, etc., flows through the organisms in an ecosystem. Okay, so here we will be dealing with food chain, food web, the different types of food chains, then the importance of food web and food chain in an ecosystem, and we will also see the ecological pyramids, or what is commonly known as Eltonian pyramids. Okay. So what is food chain? So you have been learning about food chain from lower classes. So defining food chain, it is actually um, a linear sequence of organisms through which nutrients and energy pass from producers to higher level consumers. To put it into a very compact one, the food chain can be defined as the transfer of energy from the producers uh, through a series of organisms with repeated eating and being eaten. Okay, so that gives a complete concept of food chain. So you can, when you're asked for a definition of food chain for the exam, you can write this particular definition. That is, it is a transfer of energy from the plants through a series of organisms with repeated eating and being eaten. So, if you take a food chain, for example, grass, grasshoppers, frog, snake, here grasshopper is being eaten by the by the frog. At the same time, grasshopper eats the grasses. So here, the food chain with this in this example, you can see there is a sequence of organisms, and these organisms are interrelated by way of eating and being eaten. And during the process of eating and being eaten, energy is transferred from one trophic level to the other, from producers to the primary consumer, to the secondary consumer, to the tertiary consumer, and so on. So here there is a sequence of organisms through which the nutrients or the energy is passed from one to the other, from the lower to the higher trophic levels. That is what how we say. That is, producers it actually takes up the position of the lowest trophic level in a food chain, while as we pass on from producers to primary consumers, to secondary consumers, to tertiary consumers, we are actually going up the ladder in a food chain from lower to the higher trophic level. Now, we already saw that in the last presentation, we already saw that there is something like there is a decrease in the amount of energy as we pass from one trophic level to the other, from the lower trophic level to the higher trophic level. What happens over here is actually almost about 90% of the energy is lost during each transfer from one to the other trophic level. So what happens is only about 10% is obtained by each trophic level, and as a result of which, going up the ladder, we can have a maximum of about 4 or 5 trophic levels alone. Beyond that, what happens? There is no energy being passed, and actually, the energy spent for hunting the what you call food, and energy obtained will be actually on par. So, for an energy efficient food chain, number of trophic levels is always limited to 4 or 5, as it is because the energy decreases during the transfer from one trophic level to another. Usually, the lost energy is in the form of heat. We have already seen it, and that is what Linman's 10% law states. In any food chain, energy flows from producers through primary consumers to tertiary consumers, a series of consumers to the last consumer. So, a typical food chain, as we already saw, uh, grasshoppers, what do you call, like frog and snake and all. So here these organisms, they are predominantly terrestrial, right? And you can see they are they are directly dependent upon the plants, directly or indirectly dependent upon the plants. So this kind of a food chain, it is known as a grazing food chain. Okay, because it starts with plants. It can be terrestrial, it can be aquatic, but it starts with plants. So that kind of a food chain is known as a grazing food chain. But it is not that every food chain in the ecosystem on the earth starts from green plants. Okay, there are food chains which starts from decomposing organic matter, and those food chains are referred as detritus food chain. Okay, so there are two types of food chains recognized based upon what is the energy source and what is the what group of organisms occupy the first trophic level. So what is the energy source, ultimate energy source for that particular food chain, and the organisms which occupy the first trophic level. Based upon these two characteristics, we can identify two kinds of food chains: the grazing food chain and detritus food chain. We will go into the detail. Grazing food chain. So the first kind of food chain, and which is the most familiar one for you. Here, the first trophic level is occupied by the green plants. It could be the green plants on the terrestrial land, and it could be phytoplanktons in an aquatic ecosystem. And the last trophic level, obviously, it is always occupied by consumers. It could be carnivores, right? What is the energy source over here? Grazing food chain. Since the first trophic level is occupied by green plants, the energy source is obviously solar energy. So influx of solar radiation is the ultimate source of energy. The green plants, they trap the sunlight and use it up for the production of organic matter by way of photosynthesis. Now, this energy produced is entirely stored within the tissues of living organisms. So, when the organism belonging to one trophic level feed on the organisms on the lower trophic level, what happens is it is depending upon the energy which is stored as organic matter in the tissues of the living organisms. So, here you can see three important features you have to note. One is the first trophic level is occupied by green plants, and hence the second point, that is the energy source, is the solar radiation. And the third point is that these energy, it is stored as organic matter in the tissues of living organisms. I hope these 3 points are very clear to you. Okay, so ecosystems with two examples from two different ecosystems you can see. One is from the terrestrial ecosystem, starting from grass, ending up in eagle. Okay, grass, grasshopper, lizard, eagle, etc. Now, from aquatic ecosystem, when we see the first trophic level is occupied by phytoplanktons. I suppose you remember what are planktons. Planktons are free-floating organisms, and the free-floating plants are known as phytoplanktons, and free-floating animals are known as zooplanktons. Both these are microscopic organisms. So phytoplanktons are there, and these phytoplanktons trap the sunlight, use it for photosynthesis, and these are being eaten by zooplanktons. Zooplanktons include cyclops and all, you have already studied it, crustacean larvae, cyclops, etc. Now, zooplanktons are eaten up by fishes and fishes by snake. So that kind of a food chain is found in the aquatic, is an example from the aquatic ecosystem. Is an example for the grazing food chain from aquatic ecosystem. I hope this is clear. Now, okay, the second type of food chain is the detritus food chain. Now, what is detritus? Actually, detritus refers to the particulate organic matter involved in the decomposition of dead organisms. So, it is actually dead and decaying plant and animal matter. Um, During the decomposition, it produces whatever is organic matter is involved in that particular decomposition process. That is what is referred as detritus. Okay, detritus is actually the decomposing organic matter. Okay, now these in the case of detritus food chain, the ultimate energy source is actually the energy contained in the detritus. The detritus food chain, it is one of the most important component in the energy flow of an ecosystem. Why is it so? Because just imagine if detritus food chain wasn't functional in an ecosystem or functional on the earth, what will happen is all the dead and decaying, all the dead organisms from the millions and millions of years ago, it will be piled up on the earth, and that kind of an ecosystem will not be suitable for living organisms. So actually, detritus food chain is very important for the survival of the ecosystem, for the natural balance of the ecosystem. Now, here the first trophic level is occupied by the the dead organic matter. Okay, that is dead plants and animals, and these dead plants and animals are being fed upon by the detritivores. So what are detritivores? Detritivores are those organisms which feed upon detritus. So we already saw that detritus means decaying organic matter or decomposing organic matter. So detritivores are those organisms which feed upon detritus and bring about decomposition or the breakdown of that organic matter. Okay, so among the detritivores, we can see we can actually, based upon their size, we can divide into two. That is microorganisms and then the macroorganisms. The microorganisms include algae, bacteria, fungi, protozoans, etc., which directly feed upon the decaying or dead organic matter, and then these microorganisms may be eaten up by the larger detritivores like insects, millipedes, crustaceans, centipedes, nematodes, etc. Okay, these may be eaten up by predators. Now, the predators in the particular food chain of detritus food chain may be a member in the grazing food chain as well. So there is a connection between the detritus and the grazing food chain. So we saw this type of food chain. It starts from the dead organic matter, and from there it goes to the next trophic level is occupied by microorganisms, the detritivores, and from there to the predators. The detritivores we already saw, it includes microorganisms or macroorganisms, algae, bacteria, fungi, protozoans, insects, millipedes, centipedes, crustaceans, etc. Even a few vertebrates which occupy the last predator level. Okay. These organisms ingest dead organic matter and digest them partially, and they utilized these chemical energy in the food and excrete the remainder in the form of simple organic compounds. Okay. Now this is where the grazing food chain comes into play. So the dead and decaying organic matter which is being broken down by the detritivores. During the breakdown process, minerals are being released into the ecosystem, into the soil or into the water. And these minerals are taken up by the plants during the process of and used up during the process of photosynthesis. So again, there is a connection between the grazing food chain and the the detritus food chain. Okay. In some instances, what happens is the organic material is not completely decomposed or it is not broken down completely, and whatever is left over forms a resistant organic substance, and this is what is referred as the humus. Okay, so humus or humic acid. Okay, it is one and the same. So what is humus actually? It is an organic substance which is left over after the detritus food chain is completed. So even after detritus food chain is completed, if there is any leftover resistant organic substance left over in the ecosystem, it is known as a humus. And ecosystems with detritus food chain are less dependent on solar energy and depend mainly on the influx of organic matter produced in another system. I hope all the points are very clear to you. Okay, so detritus food chain, the ultimate source is dead and decaying organic matter, and actually dead and decaying organic matter of plants and animals which were a member of the grazing food chains. So these are the points. Yeah, we already saw the two different types of food chains, grazing and detritus food chains, and we just going to link them up. Okay, where we are going to learn where they are linked. Okay, energy we already saw in the energy in the case of detritus food chain, it comes from dead decaying matter. These dead and decaying matter, it comes from the grazing food chain. So energy for the detritus food chain enters from the grazing food chain. Right. One. Secondly, energy re-enter grazing food chain from the detritus food chain once the detritus food chain is completed. Okay, once the decomposition is completed, whatever is left over the minerals, it can be used up by the plant. So again, it is re-entering. Okay, so these two are connected. So the detritivores are even eaten by the consumers of the grazing food chain. That means energy from the grazing food chain enters the detritus food chain, and even vice versa. So the stability of the ecosystem is directly proportional to the number of such links and interlinks. Okay, so the stability is depending upon the complexity of these kinds of interlinks between the different food chains, especially between the detritus food chain and the grazing food chain. Okay, and there is another concept which had been put forward to represent this kind of interrelationship between the different kinds of food chain, and that is the food web. Okay, the food web. So interconnecting networks, or you can say interrelationship between the food chains. Okay, in an ecosystem. That is what is a food web. And a few important features of a food web is, unlike food chain, it is not linear. Okay, it is not sequential arrangement. So it is not linear. And food web is actually formed by the interlinking of many food chains. And as the number of food chains included in a food web increases, the complexity of the food web increases, the stability of the ecosystem increases. Okay, so ecosystem stability, its dynamics, etc. It does depend upon how complex a food web is, how many different food chains are included to form a food web in the ecosystem. Okay, so that is regarding the food web. Now, next we will be into another concept which is known as ecological pyramids. Okay, okay. These are the few examples of food web in soil ecosystem. You can see the first one. You can now here you can see the food web in a grassland ecosystem, a typical grazing food chains, interlinked grazing food chain. Okay, I suppose I needn't tell you how it is being connected. Okay, for your practical part, you have to you will be given a few set of examples, or few set of pictures of a few animals, and you may have to interconnect them to form food chains, and interconnect the food chains to form a food web. Okay, that is a part of your practical part, and I suppose one or two times it has come for the exam as well, practical exam as well. Okay. Yeah. What is the significance of food chain and food web? Okay, before we leave for looking into what is an ecological pyramid, we'll just go through the significance of food chain and food web in an ecosystem. Now, both food chain and food web, it actually balances the matter and energy in ecosystem. That is, it maintains the cycling of nutrients and energy in an ecosystem. And it also play an important role in maintaining ecological balance by sustaining the size of populations. Okay. Then another one is, yeah, biological magnification. Actually, this food chain, it indicates biological magnification when we are dealing with the toxic, how the toxic substances in the ecosystem is being cycled. So food chain also helps to understand the biological magnification with respect to the toxic substances that enters a ecosystem. Okay, so I hope this whatever we have dealt so far, it is we already saw what is a food chain, what are the different types of food chain, how are they different, and examples for different food chains, and then the food web, and what is the significance of food chain and food webs. So next, as we already told, we are moving on to the next concept in an ecosystem. It is the ecological pyramid. Ecological pyramid, it is actually diagrammatic representation of the relationship between numbers, biomass, and energy contents of the producers and consumers of different orders. I hope it is clear. That is, it is a diagrammatic representation. Ecological pyramid is a diagrammatic presentation, and what is being included there? It depicts the relationship between number, biomass, and energy of producers and consumers belonging to different profit levels. How are they connected? How are they being? What is the relationship between the energy in the producers, energy in the different consumers in a particular ecosystem? How is it different from the other one? So that diagrammatic representation is what is called as a ecological pyramid. And this concept was put forward by or developed by Charles Elton in 1927, and hence it is commonly known as Eltonian pyramids. Okay, so there are three types of pyramids, as we have already cited. These are pyramid of numbers, pyramid of biomass, and pyramid of energy. Okay, an ecological pyramid may be upright or inverted or spindle shaped. So when we depict the relationship between the number, biomass, or energy of producers and other consumers in a particular ecosystem, what happens is it could be upright, it could be we saw it as a pyramid. It is represented in pyramids. Okay, so upright in the sense the broad base will be at the lower trophic level. Okay, and higher trophic level occupies the what you call a pointed portion. Okay, of the pyramid. While inverted means it is just the opposite. That is, a producer occupies the tip portion, the narrow tip portion, while the higher trophic level organisms will be occupying the broad base portion. Then spindle shape, that is, it will be narrow towards the ends and broad at the center. So the middle trophic level will be more widened, while the other two will be the extremes will be narrowed down or tapering. Okay, so we'll see the different ecological pyramids. The first one, pyramid of numbers. Now, this indicates, pyramid of numbers indicates the numerical relationship between different trophic levels of a food chain. Okay, so here a food chain is depicted from a particular ecosystem and how the number of each trophic level is connected. Okay, what is the relationship? So, pyramid of numbers was the first of the ecological pyramids proposed by Charles Elton. And in such a pyramid, the number of individuals in the trophic levels decreases from producer level to consumer level. In what Charles Elton put forward or developed for the first time, it was actually the upright one. Okay, the pyramid of numbers, you can see the three figures given in the slide. The first one, it is represented in the pond ecosystem, where the pyramid of numbers, I mean the what do you call the number of individuals in producer trophic level, it is more than the next higher trophic level, zooplanktons, and it keeps on decreasing as we go up the ladder, right? It is a pond ecosystem. For example, you can see the first trophic level in a pond ecosystem is occupied by the producers such as algae and diatoms, and that they are more abundant in number in a pond ecosystem. The second trophic level, that is a herbivore level, it is occupied by the zooplanktons like copepods, renatra, insect, etc. Compared to the diatoms or the phytoplanktons, these will be less abundant. The third and the fourth trophic levels are occupied by smaller and larger fishes respectively. Okay, as is given in the the figure. And thus in the pyramid of number, there is a gradual reduction in the number of organisms from the base to the top, from the producers to the top carnivore, and thus it gives a upright pyramid. Okay, upright ecological pyramid. Uh, while this is not the case, as you can see in the figure, it is not the case in all kinds of food chains or all kinds of ecosystems. In a food chain which involves parasites, like as is given in the second figure B, uh, food chain which involves parasites, what happens is the pyramid of numbers become inverted. Okay, and here it is because the parasites are generally more numerous than their hosts. A single horse may carry like a huge number of parasites on its body. So, depending upon the number, if we plot the ecological pyramid from a parasitic food chain, it will be inverted. Right now, there is another case where, yeah, a single tree is considered as an ecosystem which supports numerous fruit-eating birds. Okay, which in turn is supported by which in turn is fed upon by carnivores, and likewise it goes. So in that case, what happens is the what you call pyramid of numbers will be spindle shaped. Okay, it is, you can see the herbivores, it occupies it includes a large number of organisms, so it widens out, while towards the two extremes it narrows down, right? So it is actually okay. Now next one is pyramid of biomass. So what is biomass actually? Biomass is actually the total weight of dry matter present in the ecosystem at any specific time. So what does it is only the dry mass. Okay, so keeping out all the other content, only the dry mass. So dry it, take the weight. So that is a dry mass. Okay. So usually what happens, the pyramid of biomass, it can be either upright or it can be inverted. Okay. From a terrestrial ecosystem, if you take a food chain, obviously it is upright, right? While from an aquatic ecosystem, it is usually inverted because the producers there, it is phytoplanktons, and the phytoplanktons, obviously they may be more in number, but when we take the biomass, it will be very light. Okay. So while if you take a secondary or a tertiary consumer, it may be large fishes, and if you take the dry mass, obviously it will be more weighing over the producers or the phytoplankton. So pyramid of biomass from an aquatic ecosystem is always inverted. Now the next, okay, similarly, in the case of what you call a food chain which involves parasites, again, just like the pyramid of number, pyramid of biomass is also inverted. Okay, so if organisms of lower levels are much smaller than those of higher levels, biomass pyramid may be inverted. I hope it is clear. That is, if organisms of lower trophic levels are much smaller in size than that of the higher trophic levels, the pyramid of biomass will be inverted, as in the case of aquatic ecosystem. So, as in the case of ponds in the oceans, etc. So, hence, biomass shows an increase towards higher levels, making the pyramid inverted in shape in aquatic ecosystem. That is a conclusion. Now, the next one is pyramid of numbers. Unlike the other two, that is pyramid of what you call numbers and pyramid of biomass, pyramid of energy is always upright. Okay, why is it so? The energy keeps on decreasing as we go from one trophic level to another at a rate of 10, like 90% reduction, isn't it? 90% is lost, only 10% passes. So the pyramid of energy gives is always upright, and actually this indicates the functional nature of a ecosystem. It indicates the total energy at each trophic level of the food chain, and it also shows that upright nature also indicates the loss of energy at each trophic level. So the total energy available is relatively more at the producer level than in the herbivore, and this keeps on decreasing as we go up the ladder. So you can have as many like 3, 4, maximum of 4 or 5 members in a particular food chain. Okay, so these are the few concepts which we need to know with respect to the ecosystem. So what are the differences between the three pyramids, ecological pyramids? So we have already seen pyramid of energy depicts the energy relationship of producers and other consumers with respect to the energy. Biomass, obviously, with respect to the total dry weight, and pyramid of number involves studying the, depicting the relationship between the organisms in a food chain with respect to the total number of organisms. And it is seen that pyramid of number and pyramid of what you call biomass is, it can be both upright and inverted, while pyramid of energy is always upright. I'm sorry, there is a correction in the second point under pyramid of number. Pyramid of number can be upright as well as inverted. So you have to correct that. Okay. So that is the last concept in coming in under ecosystems. Okay. So next week we will be having a class test, a descriptive class test. So the questions will be up, posted in the Google Classroom, and you will be given time for writing. You have to write it on a paper, scan it, and then upload it. Okay, don't try to type it in the Google Classroom or in the Word, because everyone will not be finger fast. So please, we will have an exam on Monday. Okay, yeah. Right. Thank you.